I'm Wendy Gillette with Small Cap Nation. We are joined today by the CEO of Hemispherx BioPharma, Tom Equals, and analyst John Persinos, who is with The Street and Investing Daily. Thanks very much for being with us.
Well, thank you, Wendy.
So you have a drug to treat chronic fatigue syndrome. Tell me what the status is of the drug right now.
Okay. Our drug Ampligen, it's an experimental drug in the United States under clinical development. It has recently been approved for use as a therapy in Argentina for chronic fatigue syndrome, which we now call ME/CFS. ME relates to the European name, and we've combined them together. Ampligen is the only drug that's a therapeutic that's in the pipeline anywhere in the world. The Argentina approval was the first approval ever that we're aware of for a therapy that actually remediates and brings this disease into remission in severe cases of the disease. And we're pushing as hard as we can to get approval in the United States. And we've expanded our activities in Europe utilizing early access programs, which are a part of the European regulatory system, to allow for the drug to be used in Europe by severe CFS patients who have a need and whose doctors and governments will work out reimbursement programs for purposes of acquiring the drug.
And what do you think the timeline is with the FDA?
Well, we're trying to move as quickly as possible with the FDA. We've had a great deal of congressional support for approval of Ampligen based upon the fact that the people with the severe form of ME/CFS have gone from highly productive lives. These are high energy, accomplished people that are felled in the prime of life and become completely bedridden. In some instances, they can't even get under their own power to go to the bathroom. And so they become subject to requiring social costs related to their disability and a great deal of medical costs for treatment of the symptoms related to the problem. Now, we are hoping that that support that we've had in Congress, especially with the new administration, will allow us to move forward with the FDA to bring this therapy, which was just approved in Argentina, to the people who need it. Because there are people who desperately need a therapy. This is an unmet medical need.
John, I know you have a couple questions.
Sure, of course. What are your continued sources of financing? Where do you stand with the VC community and in various are there any partnerships you're forging with Big Pharma?
Well, we have a parallel track that we're working on. As you say, the burn rate doing research and development and clinical activities is very high. And there's no way to avoid that if you want to proceed toward approvals in any market. Argentina, where we just got this first approval worldwide, the work we're doing in Europe, but most significantly the work in the United States. It's very expensive. But our primary objective is to focus, if possible, on finding co-development partners,
right.
And we've developed a licensing strategy that I think is going to be very important in terms of funding. So, in the United States, of course, if we could find a co-development partner for ME/CFS and recognizing how big that market is, at some point I think the light bulb is going to go on at Pfizer or Merck or
right.
Bristol Myers, because you're talking about hundreds of thousands of severe cases, totally disabled people, right? You're talking about a therapy that costs about $90,000 over a 9-month period, So, you do the math,
Well, that raises another question. It's a major unmet need.
It is.
So tell me where you stand with. You must be applying for orphan drug status.
We already have orphan drug status in the United States for this disease, which gives us 7 years of exclusivity.
Yeah, so that is a major tailwind for the product and for your company.
One hopes.
Because it really accelerates the marketing and development aspects of the drug, removes a lot of hurdles. So, what about in Europe?
Now in Europe we don't we have orphan drug status for Ampligen in other areas. Ampligen is a platform drug. ME/CFS is just one of the components. Ampligen has a multitude of uses. So it's not just ME/CFS as a single therapy. It also has significant demonstrated uses in oncology and in immuno-oncology as a standalone therapy, as well as in combination with drugs like checkpoint inhibitors. And
Well, immunology is in the vanguard of drug development right now.
Exactly.
Getting the body to use its own defenses against invading cancer cells, et cetera. The age-old dream of letting your body be your own physician. So there's been a big explosion in immunological research and development. So I'd imagine that some of the big pharma players that are pursuing immunology as well would be interested in your efforts in that regard.
We are doing our best to get the information regarding our TLR3 agonist and how it works in conjunction with a variety of different cancers where we have experimental and clinical data.
Right.
And we also, in the United States, have orphan drug status for Ampligen in renal cell and melanoma that we were able to obtain from the FDA. So we're getting that out to the big players in the United States. We have a platform drug here that will work in ME/CFS, as demonstrated in Argentina. You know, it has tremendous potential in immuno-oncology for a number of different cancers and cancer products that could work in combination with. And finally, as an antiviral, you know, we're just scratching the surface of what it might be able to do. We are going to work very hard to do our best, you know, for the people who need this drug, as well as for our stockholders, to make a difference in this world.
All right, well, we wish you a lot of luck in your endeavors, and we hope you'll come back to talk about them, okay?
That would be my pleasure.
All right, thanks so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
And thank
Thank you.
you. I'm Wendy Gillette with Small Cap Nation.